For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Ending the Sexual Dark Age is now sponsored by the internet's most trusted name in adult toys. A happy pussy likes to play more often. AdamandEve.com is offering you guys half off on your choice of thousands upon thousands of vibrators and dildos and cock rings and strap-ons, nipple clamps, porn DVDs, butt plugs, pocket pussies, anything else you can imagine to either get yourself off or have some fun with your playmate. As always, we highly recommend making sex toys part of your sex life, and right now, AdamandEve.com is only asking for one chance to impress you. They're offering an awesome deal in support of ending the sexual dark age, and the whole thing goes a little like this. By typing Dark Age, all one word, for the offer code at checkout, you will get 50% off the most expensive item in your cart, with a few exceptions, free shipping, 3 free porn DVDs, and a sexy free mystery gift. Free DVDs are selected randomly and added to your order before they ship. AdamandEve.com is willing to damn near pay you to get off. So stop by, enter DARKAGE at checkout, and proceed to collect on an awesome deal. Or just follow one of the links on sexualdarkage.com. And if you like surfing on your smartphone, be sure to check out Adam and Eve's new mobile site. Yes, you too can buy dildos right from your iPhone now, thanks to Adam and Eve. Welcome to episode 52.
52.
Yes, we began this episode with Shara sitting down next to me and saying, "Oops, I think I squirted a little."
And then I checked myself and oops, I did.
I didn't even squirt anything in there today.
You know what it is?
Well, not yet. What is it? Tell me all about it.
I had so much fun today because, we've done so much reorganizing at the office and I feel like I have everything almost under control there.
Nice.
So I had a little bit of free time to go and look at some pictures.
Oh, is that what you were doing with your door closed at the shop today?
My door wasn't closed, was it? I faintly remember.
We're not even 30 seconds in, and we have the first totally out of control blush by the slave.
Well, I can't help. I have to say that I'm so tired of writing, "Oh, this one makes me wet. Oh, this one makes me wet," that I kind of have to stop writing that because I realize that I'm wet all the time. But some of these photos are like awesome.
Yeah, you have been finding some really erotic photos for the podcast page on Facebook.
But I was a bad girl today because I am still learning, folks. So hang in there with me. But I know that you can't really have a nipple shot in there. But I was so enthralled in the one photo of the pet.
You didn't see the nipple?
I didn't see the nipple on the woman in the back. And at first, somebody said, "Oh, it's a guy," but it wasn't. It was a girl. So I talked to you and you said, "Oh, take it down just to be on the safe side."
Yeah, better safe than sorry. It was a really hot photo, but I mean, for any one given photo is not worth risking our Facebook account getting banned by fascists.
Absolutely. And then the other one was the two girls. The two women, and it looked like cum on her face, and then you said, "Oh, well, it's not, though. It's, they made it look like it," and then you said, "Well, you know what, if they made it look that way, you better take it down, too, because..."
Yeah, all it takes is one fucking douche making a complaint.
So, you are going to be kind enough to post it on our webpage, correct?
I am indeed, yes. It will be posted on the podcast website, even though it can't be posted on the Facebook page.
Yeah, so, because those were so hot. And then the other one was the lollipop one.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna lick itself. The photo though, the black, I really like black and white with a tint of color sometimes, or the black and whites. I really get turned on by those. So
yeah, you post a lot of those, but they're very tasteful. I like them.
I try to be tasteful,
even without the splash of color. I don't know what it is for me personally, but black and white photography smacks more of erotica than pornography, just as a medium. You know, it always seems more erotic to me in black and white, and I have no idea why.
Well, I used to do, when I was doing photography, I used to do a lot of black and whites, like landscape and things like that. So black and white has always been something like of a sensual nature to me. And then, of course, digital camera came out, and, you're busy taking pictures of friends and this and that. And so I kind of got away from my black and whites. But I used to develop.
Digital camera's best thing to ever happen to dirty pictures, ever.
Yes, but I used to do my own. I used to develop my own, photos and everything. I used to have my own dark room.
So all the neighborhood perverts brought their film to you for developing? They didn't want to go up to the photo mat?
Just my boyfriend at the time, him and I, he actually taught me how to use my darkroom equipment and stuff.
Why have I never seen these photos?
Well,
Don't tell me you don't have them anymore.
I don't know.
Nobody ever throws away naked pictures of themselves.
They do if they don't want other people to see them.
No, they don't. You are so totally busted right now.
I haven't,
Go sell it to me. Come on. Sell it to me.
It's kind of hard to sell you anything. I tried that swampland in Florida thing. You bought it for a little while, but then you were like, okay.
I demand to see those photos.
Okay.
More about this on an upcoming episode, folks.
Anyway, but black and whites just in general were very central to me. I just think that they're very.
They are. They seem
nice.
For whatever reason, I agree with you. They seem to be more sensual and just generally more erotic. Not that you can't have a fantastic photo in full color. But, there's just something about the black and white stuff. And
I became friends with somebody strictly on Facebook. I've never met this woman at all. And her name is Deb. And I don't even know if she listens to the podcast, but I'll tell her that I mentioned her tonight. But there's just this, common thing between us that a lot of times she's posting pictures that I'm going to post. And I've posted pictures that she'll write back and say, I was going to post that. So we kind of have the same taste.
You have an equivalence of horniness?
Yes, that too. I was going to say taste in photographs, but okay.
Well, when the intention of the photographs is to get you horny, taste in photographs is equivalent taste in horny.
Well, what can I say? And me, I love men, but lately I've really been drawn to looking at the female side more and more. I just love those photos.
And as you know, I will always encourage that.
I know. Thank you so much.
Isn't it good to have a master who's so supportive?
Any master who wouldn't want that would have to be crazy. Okay, let me think. She wants to see if she's bisexual. She'd like to, maybe lick in between her legs or that. Oh, no, we can't have that.
What did Yoda say? Do or do not. There is no try. I think you were done trying a long time ago, baby.
I just didn't want to admit it, but there I am, out in the open. I don't know. I don't know if it's the photos or what, but it's like lately I'm coming across some really nice female, and sometimes a third female, sometimes a fourth,
Well, you also have more than one woman that you're actually currently hot for, which is probably keeping your brain in that neighborhood.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Go.
So, speaking of being hot for women, actually, that is a nice accidental segue into our topic for this evening. We got, every once in a while, a coincidence, fate, whatever you want to call it, causes a topic to really just jump to the front of the line. Over the course of 1 week, we had 2 female listeners who both wrote us about very similar topics. So I'm going to read both of their emails to us, but I'm going to read them both before we start talking about it. The first one is Squidget, and she says, I previously posted on your website and emailed you, and I was just wondering if you could please hit me back with some feedback. I know in episodes you talk about threesomes and how to find the right person, but I would like a fraction more personal advice. Me and my boyfriend have been together for almost 3.5 years. We have both just decided we want to try a threesome, but we are having trouble deciding who we should go with. We have decided to keep it as 2 girls, 1 guy, as that personally for us both is more of a turn-on. How do we approach asking a person once we have found one, and what should we look for in a partner? I personally don't want a friend just because of the aftermath, but I don't want a complete stranger. Please help.
My address is no.
All right. So next, JR writes, my wonderful man and I have talked about a threesome with another woman as well as a swinging lifestyle. We are very curious and want to start slow, possibly by going to a swingers club just to watch. I have just recently admitted to myself and my man that I am bi-curious. I have never even kissed a woman, but I am sure you'll both agree that they are hot and sexy.
Mm-hmm.
We agree.
We agree.
A few weekends ago, I went dancing with friends, and this hot friend of a friend, female, was totally flirting with me and giving me the look. I thought for sure she was into me. We even exchanged numbers. But since she has given me the cold shoulder, it made me realize that I have no idea how to tell if a chick is into me or not. I've spent the majority of my life totally into men. So without completely outing myself to every hot girl I flirt with, how can I tell if another female is into me and down to play? If I start meeting ladies who want to play and I run into one who's into me but I'm not feeling it, what do I do?
Well, I did write her back just to let her know that we'd be talking about it on the show, but I did write her back to share an experience with myself, and I don't know if I shared that with you or not, but it was many years ago, and we were at a wedding. My girlfriend and I, we were at a wedding. We both had dates, and her date, we got wasted. You know, we were just, both her and I were feeling no pain. Our dates both said, we're driving, don't worry, enjoy yourself. So we did. And so I can remember going back by the bar, and they had, you know, the tall tables back there where you can just stand around and talk. And he said, her boyfriend said, boy, you know, I'd like to see you just kiss her. So she leaned over and she kissed me. And then he goes, that was hot. And then he said, you should finger her. And I said, imagine that. I don't have any panties on. So she took her finger and she went down there and she was touching me. And of course I was wet. And then she took her finger afterwards and she licked her finger. Nice and clean. So it does happen. Now, there was a little bit of...
Was it a trail of girly jizz running down to her elbow?
Wasn't that bad.
Because the Shara I know.
It wasn't that bad. So the thing is that she was a little bit quiet after that too. So sometimes they don't know how to react. After they've put themselves out there a little bit, they might not know how to react either. So she might, while you feel like you're getting the cold shoulder, she just might not know how to react because she doesn't know if you're interested or not, you know?
Yeah, you know, there's so many different angles to come at this from, because there are the fundamental issues of, differences between trying to find a woman for a threesome and trying to find couples to play with. I like your immediate response when people ask you the crash and burn. Oh yeah. So, but yeah, we're actually, I think I need to say something else before we even get to that.
Yeah.
So be aware, I am obviously fully supportive of threesomes in whatever combination you happen to enjoy. Goats have scratchy fur. But choosing to go towards threesome play when you are not personally experienced in non-monogamy is not the path of least resistance. It can be a challenging path to walk simply because it tends to be more difficult. There's a reason that bisexual single females are called unicorns in the swinging community. They're not mythical, but they can be fairly hard to find. And as Cooper and Ginger pointed out when we talked about this, one of the times we've had them on the show, a bisexual single female has more options than, theoretically anyone else in the world.
Isn't that a nice problem to have? I still think that's a really nice problem to have.
Yeah, so not to discourage it, and it's not to say, you can't find someone to have her first bi experience with you. But understand that it is not the road of least resistance. So as you're talking about doing this and thinking about doing this, bear in mind that you may want to dip a toe into the swinging scene, if only to see if you can meet a couple that plays separately with the woman that you might want to play with. Because at least in those circumstances, you're going to have access to women who will talk to you openly, and if they are attracted to you, they will not be hesitant to show it. So it may be a more target-rich environment.
And that's a very good point. And in regards to squigget, is the nice thing about doing it that way is there's no real commitment if you're kind of getting your feet wet, like you said, and you get a chance to go out there and you get to play with somebody and there's no commitment. Where if you play with a friend, which she's trying to avoid, it could become ugly. She might become too attached to you or to your boyfriend.
Yeah, friends always have a little bit more inherent risk because you already have a relationship with a friend that you're invested in. Mm-hmm. But then the other side of the coin, so where do you look? I mean, do you go out clubbing? I mean, really, the key, first off, is you have to determine some target-rich environments that you are comfortable in. And also, like anything else involving sex, seducing women or picking up women is a skill. Picking up women as a couple is a slightly more refined skill. So you have to go into it with the mindset that you're going to be trying to develop a new skill, and you're going to fail a lot. We build confidence through success. We learn through failure. And you really have to go into it with a positive attitude, and as I was talking about on a recent episode, and as you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you have to be willing to crash and burn. I mean, you have to be able to shake off the total flame out. If you can't do that, and you're not going to necessarily start out being good at that part of it, but you need to focus on that and teach yourself how to do that. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in your own head. You're going to be paranoid about what did I do wrong? What was wrong with my approach? Well, maybe nothing was technically wrong with your approach. Maybe your choice of approaches for your target was bad, because it really is all about strategy. It's the game of seduction.
That, and like she said, what if I'm not interested in, if somebody flirts with me and I'm not interested in, it could be the same way. You see somebody, but they just might not be interested in you. You're not their type. They might prefer blonde and you're a brunette, and they might prefer a redhead and,
Right. And there are a few different ways that, for women, women can get away with being aloof generally easier than guys can, I think. There is always unless the woman is making real obvious advances, coming on like a freight train, if there's subtle advances, you can always just pretend you don't notice, which works for men as well. If there's subtle advances and you're not interested at all, just pretending you don't notice is often the path of least resistance. And, you both walk away from the situation and, the other person might think you're thick as a fucking brick, but at least you have avoided any awkwardness.
Never had that problem. I guess I'm glad now that I think back.
Yeah, so for JR, when she was mentioning the woman she ran into that she thought was into her, she thought they were into each other really, and they exchanged numbers. One thing, she may have been in the position that, she woke up the next day and she may have been embarrassed.
Right.
She may have thought she made an ass out of herself and thought she misread you and you weren't interested. It's really easy to overthink yourself in these situations, which is why I suggest striking when the iron is hot. If you really want to be able to avoid situations like that, when you feel somebody's into you, you can try pushing it a little farther to see if you can provoke a reaction that is not ambiguous.
And though time has probably gone by, it still wouldn't hurt to try making one more phone call and just say, hey, this is so-and-so, and, you gave me your number, and just when we met at blah, 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 and just wanted to see if you wanted to get together and have a coffee or whatever. And then it's kind of non-committal, but you're still being able to spend time. If nothing else, you become friends and have a new friend out of the deal.
Yeah, and before we drift too far from it, what I mentioned about the swingers clubs, also be aware there are plenty of other couples out in the swing community that are only looking for women to play with. So there is certainly competition there, and nobody's going to be surprised. But Cooper, again, when Cooper and Ginger were on talking about swinging, he expressed that there are times where the guy in a swing relationship in a club scene can almost there are a lot of couples who tend to ignore the guy, is what he said. So certainly don't ignore the guy. As Cooper said, hey, if you want to fuck my wife, you better at least give me the time of day.
Exactly.
So yeah, even if you're talking to a couple that plays a part and that plays separately, I should say. The guy's probably going to be hanging around in the swing scene, and try to get to know him too. Even if you don't end up playing with him, and this will be some work. It's not necessarily going to come naturally to to feel open in a social situation with people who are openly non-monogamous, at least within the bounds of a private setting. So, it's okay to feel a little bit weird about it. But again, developing the skills to pick up women as a couple is not easy. It's science, it's strategy, but it can also be a tremendous bonding experience for you as a couple. So I suggest starting out any evening where you're out looking for playmates with the agreement that no matter what happens, the two of you are going to fuck each other's eyeballs out at the end of the evening.
I like
know
that
that you have something positive to look forward to at the end of the evening, and it makes it, and of course you probably would have anyway, but make a point of, saying it to each other, reaffirming it so that you both go into the evening with a positive attitude.
So that kind of sounds like a homework assignment that you're giving out there.
Well, I'd say a homework assignment for anyone who's shopping for a
right
woman for a three-way, yes.
Right. So.
Yeah, before you go out, anytime you're walking into a target-rich environment, of course, communication is key. If you go back and listen to the swinging episodes, which I believe were 29 and 31.
Still scare me that you remember that. It's very scary. I just want to say that.
But I would suggest listening to those because anytime you're talking about moving into a non-monogamous area, there are certain fundamentals that you want to try to cover your bases. You can't think of, you're not going to be able to think of everything. That's why you need to communicate. And when you come out of an unexpected situation, talk about how you both felt about it. You'll develop your own rules as a couple. But one of the most important things, and where a lot of the relationships that do run into problems because of non-monogamy tend to trip up, is that you've got to agree that there is no single act that will end your relationship. You're going into uncharted territory for the both of you, and you're both even with the best of intentions to look out for each other's, happiness and good time and whatever. You have to accept the risk, the likelihood that at a certain point one of you is going to feel a little bit left out. Or, if you've got some rule that's unreasonable, like a no kissing rule, and somebody accidentally kisses while they're in the process of making out or having sex with somebody else, you just have to accept that anything that happens, you're going to sit down and talk about, but there are no immediate relationship ending situations anymore.
Right. And I think that that's important. And one of the things with you, and when we've played with other people, you've always made me feel secure that I didn't have to worry. And it was always couples, so it wasn't, a single female.
It wasn't always couples. I lent you out for your tongue in my living room one night. You remember that?
Oh, that was, yes. That's right.
You forgot all about her, didn't you?
Well, yeah, she was kind of a, tough cookie, let me tell you. She was definitely a dominatrix. There's no two ways about that one. So
everyone was having a good time until she decided to ruin the mood.
Yep. Pour that beer. Bullshit. You did not like that at all.
No. It was on my bed. I had my futon in the living room.
You didn't care that she poured it on me. Just don't do it on the futon.
You liked getting it poured on you.
Oh, anyway. So, yeah, I did kind of forget about that one. But it's one of those moments that you like to put, behind you because she just wasn't my type, basically. But,
right.
But it was still fun being dominated by you, so that part was exciting. But
how was it being dominated by her?
I'd have to get back with you on that, but I think I liked it. I think if it's the right female, I would really have liked it. She definitely knew how to play the dominatrix very well. But
yeah, when we were roommates, we used to sit around telling war stories till the wee hours. It was fun.
I'll bet with her. But, so you always make me feel secure. And I never have to doubt that at the end of the evening, you and I are going back by ourselves and the other person isn't included into that. Unless we were to change that somewhere down the line. But I don't have to worry about that because we would discuss that first.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing in a nutshell is put the rules down. Even Cooper and Ginger talked about that. You set the rules. Like Ginger had that one incident where the girl liked her a lot more than she liked the prof. And so they had to end that. So, it's not just necessarily that for the women out there who is looking for a second female to be with her and her significant other, it doesn't necessarily mean that that other one's going to fall for your significant other. It might be that she falls real hard for you. So be prepared for that, because, Ginger and Prof obviously have been around a long time to know what to be careful of versus a newbie going out there and dipping in those waters.
Right. Okay, so now we get to the truly fun part of the show, which is giving some tips on how to seduce a woman as a couple. Which I believe, it's like the last great sport that's left to man. Hunting isn't any fun anymore. We got guns that could blow the legs out from underneath an elephant. There's not a whole lot of sport left in hunting anymore, even big game hunting. But,
don't say that out loud to men that hunt. They'll disagree with you.
Well,
I'm kidding.
But, so I want to just give a few general tips. We probably should try to organize a couple episodes on the art of seduction, because really that in itself would justify a couple episodes. But for these specific situations, I'm going to throw out some things that I have had work for me in the past, some things that I have seen work in the past, as far as trying to approach or broach the topic of a three-way with a woman who you're not sure if she's bi or not. And all of this stuff kind of requires, or at least will be very well served, by developing the ability to be 60% serious. You can leave yourself with just a little bit of a joking tone in your voice or a little bit of a comical delivery. You can leave yourself an escape hatch. So if you need to back out of something, you can make like she just misunderstood you. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if I'm playing it that way and somebody asks me if I'm serious, I will say I'm 60% serious.
Not 61 or
yeah, because that gives them an escape hatch too. But there are specific advice really kind of depends on the exact situation. If for an example, I'll say you meet a woman in a bar, or the two of you, or you're in a bar and the two of you see some woman that you feel attracted to. It is usually in that case, in my experience, better for the woman to do the cold approach. Because a woman is not going to feel immediately threatened in a social situation by a woman coming up to talk to her. And sometimes, women will have their guard up, especially if they're not necessarily out shopping for sausage. So any guy walking up to them is going to face a defense system. Mm-hmm. And women can sneak around that very easily. So I recommend a two-pronged approach where each of you in the couple is performing a part of the approach. So for a cold approach, it's super easy for a woman. Super easy. Because all you got to do is go up to that girl and compliment something that she is wearing. Or compliment her hair. And start a conversation about it. Oh, where did you get that? Or whatever. Or I saw something like that in a different color and I almost bought it. It's so easy. And then you throw in the hook. And you say something like, whatever thing you've picked to compliment her on, you want to show it to your boyfriend because you like it so much. So, I was thinking about changing my hair and I love your color. Would you mind coming over to the table for a second and showing it to my boyfriend or my husband? And then from there, the boyfriend makes the invitation for her to join you and have a drink. Now, you've both already expressed at this point that you're interested in this female, so you're on board. But see, you're playing as a team, and that's one of the most important things.
Can we get you a drink?
Exactly.
Let us buy you a drink.
Yeah,
sit down.
Yeah, can we get you a drink?
So if we're in the ladies' room and she's coming out and she's trying to pull her skirt down, but I see her panties, I could say, oh, I really like those panties. Where did you get them? And would you mind showing my boyfriend? Just kidding.
Well, no, that works. But like for the ladies' room dialogue, you can again be 60% serious. Always be at least 40% joking until you're certain you have a green light. So, ladies' room dialogue, you can just say, because we know you girls talk about us, and you talk about lots of things in the ladies' room, but men, especially men who are outside the ladies' room, somewhere in the near vicinity.
Have you seen the recent photos that I've been posting about
I have,
bathroom?
yes.
We're not talking, okay? That's not talking going on
Lickety
there.
split.
That's right. Just kidding.
But as the female half of the couple, it is very easy to be 40% joking and say, my boyfriend is really into you, or my husband is really into you. And so what I suggest in all of these cold approach type situations is throwing out some bait to see what the other person does with it. That way you are not actually committing to anything. You're not tipping your hand. If you're concerned about somebody, feeling like you're hitting on them and being terrified and walking away. So you throw out bait and then you respond to their response. And if it's, for example, a woman you do already know, and this can work in the cold approach situation as well. But another tip is, another smooth move is for the two of you, say you've got somebody over hanging out at the house with you. Okay. For the two of you, either walk in the room or walk up and you're in the middle of arguing about which one of you is better at something. Okay. Oh no, I'm way better than you are. So it turns out you're arguing about which one of you is a better kisser. So that gives an immediate opportunity. You are throwing out bait. It gives your second female an opportunity to volunteer to be the judge.
I like that. Although I have to tell you, I've been told I'm a pretty good kisser.
Well, as have I. And I haven't even thought about that game for years, but we need to run that game on somebody.
When I take you traveling out in the road.
Well, usually the people we play with are, so free and easy going that, it's just unnecessary. But yeah, so obviously I can't give you 100 examples, but I will be happy to provide feedback on any approach you're considering. If you want to email me and say, hey, what do you think if we do this? We might be able to help you fine tune your approaches a little bit, because that is really, as one of these ladies pointed out, that is really one of the challenging things is learning to read the responses. And the unhelpful cold hard truth is, you learn how to read the responses by being wrong over and over again.
And remember, sometimes it's not that you're wrong. They just might be nervous.
Right.
And then they walk away going, man, I could have had her.
Yeah, if you're not super good at reading people, which most people are not, most people are not savants in the art of reading body language or reading other people's reactions, it'll take you some time to get used to it. But just focus on enjoying the ride that you're taking with your playmate. And just even the hunt, even if you never catch anybody, the hunt will bring the two of you closer together.
It will. It's hot.
Yeah. And as your confidence level increases, your success rate will increase. So that's really the hardest thing to get going is, to get the first couple of successes and to be willing to crash and burn. I have had some stupendous flameouts. Stupendous. But, you just got to get back up, dust yourself off, and go next. So let's see. I know there were a couple other things we were talking about when we were prepping this episode, as far as approaches and opening the door, trying to open the door with someone you think might be interested in the two of you. But and a lot of those, and again, I'm going to say that women tend to be less threatened by other women than they tend to be by men. Heterosexual women, I should say.
Right. And when you're in a place, all you got to, if it's not a swing club, there's just like, say you're at a bar, but let's say this chick keeps just eye contact with you over and over and over again. She's either looking at you because you look familiar to her or you're hot and she's...
Yeah, somebody you catch watching you over and over again out of the corner of your eye, that's a good indication.
Right.
Somebody who laughs at shit you said that wasn't really that funny, that's another good indication. Seriously.
But what if I thought it was really funny?
Well...
I won't get the message.
Still, somebody who laughs too hard at the unfunny joke. Because you can tell when a joke falls flat. But so these are a lot of the little things that we do, whether we realize it or not, to try and ingratiate ourselves with someone that we are attracted to. They're hardwired responses that we probably learn from childhood by watching interpersonal interaction, ingratiating ourselves by laughing. Someone who goes out of their way to make physical contact, even non-sexual physical contact. Physical contact is an incredibly important part of seduction. Hands, wrists, touching somebody's cheek, stuff that is not overtly sexual, but it breaks the personal space barrier.
It's sensual to me.
Yes, any kind of physical contact has the potential to be
me?
sensual, and it breaks the personal space barrier.
And you know what that does to me, right?
Same thing as the wind blowing.
Right. Makes me wet. Just thought I'd say it. I can't help it. I'm always in overdrive. What can I say?
So there was one other thing that Squidge had asked about. She was looking at buying her very first vibrator, which, yay, we love to hear about a woman buying her first sex toy.
Oh, let me tell you.
Enjoy the ride. But she specifically asked for some suggestions from Shara for good starter sex toys. So I'm going to pull Shara's browser window back up so she can stop making hand signals. There you go.
Okay, so I have a few. You had told me that you went to the Adam and Eve site. One of them that is very similar to one that I had quite a while back, but it looks like they've improved on it, is called the Symphony Massager, item number R528. And it's also waterproof, and it has a high vibrating level. And I love when that happens because as I'm getting extremely wet and I'm ready to go into a stronger mode, I like the faster pace.
One of the only women I've ever known that has starter orgasms, but let's continue.
Okay. And another one is called Evolved Bliss Vibrator. And I'm trying to find the number on here.
H804.
H804?
Yes.
Thank you.
H is in hard on.
And I like that one. And one of the reasons I like that one is, if you notice, it has like 4 different like little indents on there. So when I'm by myself and I'm wanting to play a little bit, I'll start by just the first tip, then adding a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And
it's almost got like 3 knuckles on it.
Yeah. So so that's another one of my favorites. I do tend to like the straight as opposed to the curved ones.
Right.
Although the curved ones are good, and especially when they have where they can get your clit at the same time. So, and one of my favorites is the Slim Waterproof Massager, and that one is item number 5322. Like I said, I like the real straight ones, and I like to go.
For a first sex toy, something basic is appropriate for a first sex toy. Something that costs under $20 or $30. You don't want to spend a lot of money on it. You definitely don't want something too big because you don't want to have a bad experience with your first toy because it was, a little bit big or heavy for you to manipulate. Because one of the things about those giant vibrators is they do tend to get heavy.
They do, and I like to be relaxed and enjoy myself. And this one has over 194 reviews, and it's not very expensive. It's $11.95. So it's, moderately priced. You could get a couple, so you have one at home and one at work. Oh, wait, is that me? Do I do that?
One at home and one at work? No, you don't do that.
Okay, I have many, but just a couple at work, though, because I don't want to get caught. The bullet ones, I'm not as much of a favorite with the small bullet size ones because I get so wet that, they kind of get,
out of your hands.
They just get caught up in there and, just.
We need to get you some traction tape on your vibrators or something.
I like vibration. I like the strong vibration. I like a high speed because that's what brings me to a very quick orgasm. And when you are trying to relax, the slower speed is nice. But if you're kind of in a hurry, but like me, got to have a little fun. Like today, I was doing a little flirtation with somebody else and, it kind of was fun. And so I thought about her when I, played with the toy.
Oh, that's good news. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yeah, so anyway.
You don't need to know exactly who you're talking about at this point. But also probably good advice for a first vibrator is something with multiple speeds because all women's preferences are different.
Right.
Some women can't stand the real fast vibrations.
Sure.
So, something with multiple speeds that allows you to try out a variety of stimuli is probably advised.
Very true. And I don't always like the high speed, but sometimes I really like to be able to get in there and play and be done. But I like all levels. I slow, then a little faster, but
you go right to the fast when you're trying to knock out a quickie.
Yeah, kind of so. But the other thing too that you might want to look at is if you do not get real wet, the slow speed. And when I first started out, I would watch some porn that JV advised me what was good porn sites that were safe, where you don't have to worry about pop-ups and all that other.
Yeah, a lot of those are now unsafe. The only really safe one I know of is RedTube. It does that one live Jasmine window pop up when you first go to the site, and then it leaves you alone.
Correct. So, but I would do that, and I would tease myself by only allowing a little bit of the vibrator to go inside of me, at, a little piece at a little tip at a time, until I was so wet that it just became more natural for me.
Now, did you start doing that to yourself before or after the first time I made you beg for cock an inch at a time?
I honestly, I don't know, because I had a vibrator for a very long time.
Because you seemed fairly upset with me when I was making you beg for it an inch at a time. I mean, it was all in good fun, but you were not thrilled. You did it.
Well, I do what you tell me to do because you're my master. So, I'm going to do what you tell me to do. But, yeah, I've been...
here's the tip. Is that enough?
No.
You want some more? Beg me for it. Oh, there's another inch. Is that enough?
I hate begging. I hate begging. It's
look at the shit-eating grin on your face.
I do hate begging. I hate it. Just give it to me.
You are totally good. Please play poker with me for money. Oh, you are such an awful liar. You have no poker face.
Well, whatever. I don't like begging. Okay, whatever. So,
except that every time I make you do it, your pussy is wet.
Well, my pussy's always wet.
Wetter than it was when I started. I realized I needed to qualify that.
But speaking of wet, not everybody is as fortunate as I know I am about being wet all the time. So some people might need to put some kind of a gel, and they do have vibrator gel, but same thing as using protection and all that. Those are just as good to put on your toy. So, but they do have a certain product for, putting something onto your toy, and then make sure you clean your toy.
Yeah, and generally regular old sex lube works fine on sex toys.
Right.
Because sex toys are artificial, you do probably, unless you're sure, if it's a water-based lubes don't react with anything. Or if they do react with it, throw away the toy. But if you're using a silicone-based lube or something like that, it's not a bad idea to put some on the toy, let it sit there for a couple of minutes, and then do a rub test with a white cloth and make sure no color or anything comes off. If you ever do a rub test with a sex toy and color comes off, do not use that toy anymore.
Right. That happened to us once.
Yeah. With one of my favorite butt plugs for you, too. That was fucking disappointing. The ponytail butt plug.
Yeah. Very disappointing.
You looked awesome while wearing your pony harness with the leather bit.
Well, we'll have to get a new one, okay? Okay. So.
Somebody hasn't worn the pony harness in a little while.
Subject change. So back to keeping it on track. So, but they do, Adam and Eve sells products on their site. So if you are not somebody that gets wet right away, you might want to have that, especially if you don't want to go to the store and purchase sex lube, then feel free to buy it on Adam and Eve. They send everything private.
If you just need a little help getting started, a little bit of, licky sticky, licking your finger and rubbing it out for a second will get things going.
I never tried that, so I don't know. But I never had to. Like I said, I'm fortunate, and I know that I am. I've been very sexually oriented. And,
wettest pussy in town.
Well, let's not go that far, but...
I'll go that far.
Well, then we're going to have to get...
I've seen a lot of pussy in this town. It's the wettest one I've ever seen.
Okay, so anything else?
You deserve a ribbon just for that. I wonder if I could go to an award site and get you a trophy made. I mean, for money I'd be willing to spend on for a gag gift, but I bet you I can.
Just don't go to the same ones that I go to for my charity work, okay?
Why wouldn't I?
Okay.
No, you buy locally. I'd buy on the internet.
So that being said, is there anything else?
No, I think that just about wraps it up. And hopefully, ladies, we were able to give you some, at least a little bit of direction here and some positive advice. This is kind of a big topic, so please, if you want clarification or you want us to talk about something specifically in a little bit more detail, please feel free to let us know. And we'll make sure we get back to it soon so we can kind of finish up your questions for you.
Well, and you did talk about doing a couple episodes on the art of seduction.
Yeah, I think we need to sit down and plot those out a little bit, but I think it's appropriate. I mean, because it's a very different art, from a man's perspective and the woman's perspective, but there are a lot of things that are common. It's the finer points that differ depending on whether you're going after a man or a woman. But, the fundamentals are all pretty much the same. And I think it's about time we talk about that.
Okay. I think it's a good idea. So But like you said, if there's something that we didn't cover for you, or you need more clarification on, please feel free to, write us or send us a message on Facebook, whatever.
Yep. And as always, questions, comments, tirades, and insults. Well, tirades and insults should probably be directed at me. That's jvaltheros@gmail.com. Do your worst. And Shara is JV's Shara at gmail.com. And of course, we are available on Facebook. We are available on Twitter. We are available on our website, sexualdarkage.com, which I will plug once again as becoming a great place to find sexy pictures, extremely erotic photos that Shara is pulling from the four corners of the internet. A lot of very funny sex pictures, and we're trying to do some more with the sex news stuff. We talked about that a couple episodes ago, and we're just kind of trying to find our footing, and we want to decide exactly what we want to do before we start it so it doesn't seem half-assed. But there will be some more sex news type information that's going to be adding into the show, or a sex news segment that we're going to be adding into the show sometime soon.
Yeah, so it'll be nice.
Yes, and we always appreciate likes on the Facebook page for Ending the Sexual Dark Age. That's actually growing a following fairly steadily, which is great. And we also appreciate positive ratings and reviews on iTunes, as that is where most podcast downloads come from, is some kind of an Apple product. And positive rating or review will literally help us get out in front of more people.
And I also want to thank, I had a Twitter follower that actually responded to one of my tweets, and I'm kind of a newbie at this, but all of a sudden my Twitter group was growing, and there's one that's following me, and we were playing back and forth about the painting your bedroom purple.
Yes, I remember when you were talking about that.
And I just want to say thank you, and I'm so glad that I caught that, because I'm new at this. So if I missed somebody's tweet, I apologize. I'm a newbie at it, and I'm trying to get better at it. So I'm trying to, you're teaching me how to follow up on that. So
yep.
Thank you.
Yes, you are trying. Shara is making an effort to become more proficient with the social media that she is not yet familiar with. But there is a lot of it out there. I have to moderate my social media time and say I'm going to spend this much time on Facebook and I'm going to spend this much time on Twitter, and that's just all I can put into it, because it is very easy to get lost.
Well, and I have to say, we decided to take a break on Sunday and not really do a whole lot. I didn't post any pictures that I might have posted a couple.
Yeah, I didn't post anything on Saturday. You didn't post anything on Sunday. I think that worked out well, because there was still stuff getting posted every day. But that's a result of an article that we read about using social media to network, especially when there is anything that you are trying to promote with the social media, including your own podcast if you have one. And that is to take one day and take a break from it. Mm-hmm. So you're a lot less likely to burn out on it. And of course the internet does not stop. And I am famous for acting like it will stop if I don't post something on a given day. So this is something I really have to try and work on for myself, is the letting go.
Yes, I know that's hard for you, but you're doing pretty good, because actually Saturday you did really good, and and Sunday I was like kind of dying to get over here, but I held back a little bit.
Yes, my evil successful plan was don't even walk over to the computer. Saturday was the first time in a while I had a no computer day, which was interesting, and in 2012.
Yes, we were very fortunate though to have a great weekend. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. It was good to get out there and see some of our friends, and because we really don't, with the business and all of these things that we do, it's not always that easy. So it was kind of fun.
Well, yeah, and we're going to try and do some traveling in the near future too.
Yes, I did.
Things are lightening up a little bit. Well, they're not lightening up. We're busy as fuck again, but we're managing it better.
Now that I mentioned it, I did not say this on the podcast, but I did mention it on Facebook. But thank you, because you brought our company global over the past week, and
thank you very much.
It's all because of you and what you do with our website and all of that. It's all you that really kept that going. So, as I mentioned on Facebook, I want you to get a well-deserved vacation, because you've in the 10 years that we've had the business, you've not really had, I think we made sure you took one time and went, but you really didn't go anywhere. So I want to take you away. So I kind of put it out there to Facebook to ask for suggestions. And so far there's a couple places that have come back. But if anybody has some ideas of where I can take him away, and I'm kind of hoping maybe we can, I'd like to, take you to Vegas as one of the stops. And
I'd love to go back to Vegas.
And to Ithaca, New York. But also like to kind of see if we can get into a couple different, whether it's a swing club or something.
Oh yeah, plan ahead. Yeah, they're actually, I have been approached by people from a couple of fairly notable swing clubs, actually, by using some of our educational materials. So if we end up in those neighborhoods, I'm sure we could wrangle an invite.
Right. So I'm kind of working on that. So if anybody knows of any that could suggest any, we're kind of like doing this whole little like world tour thing. I'm going to kind of plan out some little ventures.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm going to plan some ventures for you. So I'd like to.
I'm down for a world tour.
And one of our podcast listeners.
The flavors of America.
One of our podcast listeners and friends on Facebook said, "Hey, my wife and I would love to sit down with you, and if you're in the Ithaca area." And I said, "Oh, something about." I might get lost in the hills, especially with if it's a good-looking tour guide. And he said, "Oh, well, we'll get our GPS out." So I definitely put that one on the list, of course. So. But anyway, so I really thank you, because I know how much time you put into this. Even though we do the podcast, you still put all the editing and everything together, and the business. You have my back all the time. So
well, thank you, baby.
No, it's the truth. You really do. So. It's my thank you to you, and I just really want to get you out there and take a lot of vacations.
Well, you're very welcome, and I look forward to it. You know I'm down for pretty much anything.
I know. Oh, pretty much anything? I don't think there's very much you're
I
not.
gotta say pretty much anything.
No, you're right, but there's not much that you're not. So that's the good news. And
you know how I am about hyperbole.
I want to kind of like get a map and start pegging it out and saying, okay, here, and start planning our long weekends.
Nice.
And making some trips, okay?
Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up here, baby?
Just, again, thank you for listening, and we have had incredible amounts of downloads. So it's because you take the time to listen and to share with other people, say, hey, listen to this podcast, it's worth listening to. So we just thank you, because without you, there wouldn't be the ending of the sexual dark age.
Yeah, and I should also say, there are a couple of emails that I need to respond to.
Yes.
But we are trying to be better about getting back, and obviously being weekly again is very helpful about that. But don't ever be afraid to, don't ever hesitate to send us a question. It might be something we can jot you an email down, or it might be something we go into on the show, but we're here.
And we're still answering people, so we're trying not to do it on overload, but we are getting to those questions. But if you're in a hurry and you've sent it and you're worried that we lost it, go ahead and feel free to send it again.
Please send it again.
But I do have a list.
Don't just feel free, please do.
Yeah, because I do have a list for JV, but feel free. I don't mind going, okay, yep, that's here, and then we'll put it as a priority.
Well, so that pretty much wraps it up for episode 52, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, guys, until next time, this be me, JV Altheros, reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there is always room for better.
I love better.